Every once in a while, the stars align and I get to present nothing but Republicans trashing Trump and his lawless team. And today is one of those days. And in the best comedy category, a GOP senator just delivered a drop the mic moment that you have to hear to believe. Hello, I'm Dan, and welcome to another Occupy Democrats Report. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button to get all of our reports covering all of the revolts that are repelling Trump. In this first clip, something that is no laughing matter, GOP Senator Rand Paul confronts Trump lackey and Secretary of State Marco Rubio about their war crimes against Venezuela. Watch as Marco attempts to defend the indefensible.
Our founders debated extensively over which branch of government should have the power to declare or initiate war. Virtually unanimously, they decided, and what was entered into the Constitution was that the declaration or initiation of war would be the power of Congress. Now, we have many advocates, many of whom are here today, who have been advocates for an expansive notion of presidential power. They often argue that wars are not really wars, that they're kinetic actions or drug busts. I think, though, if you reverse the circumstances, it becomes very difficult for these arguments to hold up. So I would ask you, if a foreign country bombed our air defense missiles, captured and removed our president, and blockaded our country, would that be considered an act of war?
Well, I think your question is about and I will acknowledge you've been very consistent on all these points the entire career. So let me, no matter who's in charge. So I will point to two things. The first is it's hard for us to conceive that an operation that lasted about 4.5 hours and was a law enforcement operation to capture someone we don't recognize as a head of state, indicted in the United States, wanted with a $50 million bounty.
My question would be, if it only took 4 hours to take our president, it's very short, nobody dies on the other side, nobody dies on our side, it's perfect. Would it be an act of war?
We just don't believe that this operation comes anywhere close to the constitutional definition of war.
But would it be an act of war if someone did it to us? Nobody dies, few casualties, they're in and out. Boom, it's a perfect military operation. Would that be an act of war? Of course it would be an act of war. I'm probably the most anti-war person in the Senate, and I would vote to declare war if someone invaded our country and took our president. So I think we need to at least acknowledge this is a one-way argument. One-way arguments that don't rebound, that you can't apply to yourselves, that cannot be universally applicable are bad arguments. And let's vote on these things. But I think we're in violation of both the spirit and the law of the Constitution by bombing a capital, blockading a country, and removing elected officials. And we certainly wouldn't tolerate it, nor would I if someone did it to us.
And now for the tragedy comedy drop the mic moment. In reference to the deaths and mismanagement in Minnesota, Republican Senator Tom Tillis grabbed Trump's insult about him and clobbered him with it.
They're discrediting what I consider to be a very well-organized operation in ICE, but they're discrediting even these officers. They're going to make their job more difficult and more dangerous with this incompetence that I'm seeing out of Noam and out of Stephen Miller.
The president called you a loser, I believe.
I am thrilled about that. That makes me qualified to be Homeland Security Secretary and Senior Advisor to the President.
Yikes!
And he expanded on it in a less comedic moment with Jake Tapper.
We've heard a number of accusations from Kristi Noem, from Stephen Miller, about what happened Saturday to Alex Preddy and about him. At best, these folks were ill-informed. At worst, they were lying. We all have seen the video. What's been your reaction to what they've said about Alex Preddy and what they claimed happened that day?
Well, I think they're doing the American people and the president a great disservice by not realizing how much attention is focused on these operations and how details and discipline matter. They spoke before they knew anything about what occurred on the ground. They didn't even implement the typical protocol that you would in an officer-involved shooting, as much to protect those officers as the scene of the incident, everything that goes into an investigation after a casualty, after a death. They talked too soon. It looked like they wanted to get ahead of a news cycle, and it really discredits it. It brings their credibility into question. And Jake,
it's fun to celebrate when Republicans turn on Trump, but let's close with a sobering reminder of the intellectually dishonest paradigm that our lawmakers have created and are willingly trapped in. Ex-user Sensible Middle reminds us of why freedom of personal thought and speech are in short supply in Congress. Republican Tom Tillis isn't brave for speaking out against Trump. Tillis is speaking out because he is retiring and isn't running for re-election this year. There are no brave Republicans. They are all afraid of five-time draft dodger Trump.